Seems like I found another room in this endless labyrinth, this dungeon. Let me equip my weapon first before I enter. And also quick save. Now, let's go in. Oh look! Treasure! Let us see what spoils me waiting us in this treasure chest here. Vernisylphs! Hello fellow rogue enthusiasts, this is Ron the Rogue Man, and what you're seeing on the screen is a rogue deck. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you may be watching the overall, hello. We're going to be jumping into the new TCG archetype here, which is a Mimighoul. We're going to be messing around with some Mimighouls, right? This is a TCG exclusive archetype based around flip summoning, and who knew that a deck based around flip summoning would be the most interesting archetype of TCG exclusive that we've had in a long time. Like, it's very interesting. It's a very little cheeky deck. It's funny. The card art is cool. Love it. What more can you ask for? You know, I love Goatee and all, but the difference between this and Goatee and the other previous like TCG exclusives from back in the past is that this is very competent with just wave one. It can do some very little under the radar plays that a lot of decks can't deal with. Really good. So let's go ahead and mop up the floor with Mimighoul, right? We have, for our first set of Mimighoul cards, we have Mimighoul Archfiend. Their gimmick is to go ahead from the hand, summon it to the opponent's field in face down defense position, and when they pop up, there are some effects. This is based, of course, on the dungeon monster called a Mimic, which replicates a treasure chest to get you to come close to it and then attempts to eat you. But the difference is that the monsters in the dungeon are also the mimics. For example, Mimighoul Archfiend is a daemon in the chest. Mimighoul Dragon is a dragon in the chest, and also Mimighoul Cerberus is a Cerberus in the chest, right? So Mimighoul Archfiend flip up effect is to make your opponent draw one card, in the Mimighoul player, and then the owner of the card sends one card from their hand to the graveyard and then returns control of this card to the opponent. Really solid card, and I really love the interaction that this card can create. If this card is summoned, you can go ahead, target one card on the field and one card on the field and change it to face up, attack position or defense position if it was set face down. So basically it's a way to trigger your Mimighoul effects on turn 1 or so on and so forth. We have three copies of Mimighoul Dragon. This one flips up to destroy all monsters on the field, on your field except Mimighoul monsters, and then return it to the Mimighoul player. It's also a spell and trap searcher upon summon. Really good card, really phenomenal. We have 3 copies of Mimighoul Master, which is the unofficial, official boss monster of the deck. So, which tells me probably any future support for this deck will always be in the main deck, right? So the chests will always be in the main deck, and the Mimighoul Master himself will always be in control of them, I guess you could say. Right? That's the whole gimmick. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect while you control a Mimighoul monster or your opponent controls a face down monster. Right? And also once per turn, it can target, the opponent's turn, it can flip up one face down monster on the field, and also it can add a Mimighoul monster from the deck to the hand. Very phenomenal card, very solid design. For our supplementary engine, because this deck is very versatile. There's a lot of ways we could utilize them being flip monsters, and I was testing a Chimera version first, which was okay. It turboed out the Master of Ham, which then summoned Flip Dog, and then Master can summon the Flip Dog and floodgate them for the turn. But as cool as it was, I was testing out more variants, and this is the one I settled on. Probably one of the most powerful flip archetypes in the entire game, ninjas, right? Kagebushin. We can go ahead and start here with Hanzo, which can go ahead and add a ninja to art upon normal summon, and upon flip or special, it can go ahead and add a ninja monster. Really solid boy, really solid daughter, because once you open a Vernisylph, you don't really need to normal summon, so we can just normal summon this instead. 3 copies of Tobari, quick effect to fusion summon. Once it's flipped, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. I wish it said all monsters. I control did that, which would have been nice. But I guess it's a case where they can't threaten it, right? Which is fine because it can work in the battle phase and main phase the fusion summon. But hey, I don't make the cards, alright? I just play them. And also it can discard itself from the hand to special summon a ninja monster from your hand in face up or face down defense position. One copy of Mitsu, the insect ninja, which is essentially a monster negate by booking itself and flipping up a card on the field. And if it was a ninja monster, you can negate that monster effect. One copy of Geo Biden himself, Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Geo, it can go ahead upon any type of summon, book 2 monsters on the field to face down defense position, and if it's a case, that monster cannot change the battle position. It's stuck that way forever, which is a very good interaction with this deck, like very good interactions. And also, if a monster is flipped up, right, you can go ahead and target 1 card on the field, destroy it. Solid piece of interaction is Geo, Sleepy Geo. For our Verna Sylphs, we play 3 copies of Flourishing Hills, which adds and then special summons. Then we play 3 copies of Seedlings, which also adds and then special summons. It adds a fairy monster, right? And then we have 1 copy of Flowering Fields, which returns an earth monster from the graveyard to your hand, and then special summons, which in this case, a lot of times you might have your Archfiend or your dragon in the graveyard. You can add it back to your hand to give it to your opponent, and then special summon a monster. Really good effect, really good synergy there. 2 copies of Talents, because you can, trigger this on your turn, which then will allow you to activate Talents to look at their hand, or maybe if you want to draw a card, you can, draw 2 cards in total, which will be, drawing 3 cards, and also your opponent will discard 1. Or you can draw 1 card and make your opponent discard 2, essentially. 3 copies of Darker No More, a card that's going to be very prevalent in the upcoming format because of a certain archetype, a certain meta-defining, archetype that every deck will probably be playing, from the rogue to the meta diversity, I guess. 3 copies of Mimighoul Dungeon. You can go ahead and make Mimighoul monsters that were not normal or special summoned, i.e. so when you give them the Mimighoul monster and you get them back on the following turn, their attack will be combined with their defense. So in this case, 1900, 2500, and 3000. Also, while your opponent controls a face down monster, they cannot normal summon and they cannot declare any attacks. So when you book it with Geo, when you book a monster they control with Geo, they cannot attack ever, they cannot normal summon ever, as long as that monster is on the field. Alright? Really cool interaction. And also, what makes this card, oh my god, I love this deck so much, but it's basically a 10-pie field spell where it can add Mimighoul monster from your graveyard and your hand, right? So it has that grind game going for it, which can also couple with your Verna Sylphs, right, to keep playing the game, which is really nice. 3 copies of Mimighoul Maker, reveal 2 flip monsters, flip-flop monsters from your deck. Your opponent picks one, they get the one that they picked, and the other one goes to your hand, and then you can special summon a Mimighoul monster from your hand. If your opponent plays the game, i.e. special summons a monster, you can flip up one of their book monsters, and then, which will trigger your effects or whatever you're doing constantly, right? And also, then for our ninja spell, we have 3 copies of Notebook, which, if they control a card, which, you're gonna, give them that card, obviously. You're gonna be giving them that card. You can go ahead and set up to 1 ninja monster and 1 ninjutsu art from your deck and or graveyard, 1 from each location. And if this card which is sent to the graveyard, you can set 1 monster they control, right? Just go ahead and book it. 1 copy of Terraforming, because we want to get to the field spell, it's really good. 3 copies of Imperm, we know what that card does. 2 copies of Mimighoul Room, which is kind of funny because this deck has a Mimighoul Room, right? Let me just check something. And generators have a room. So this has a room, and generator has a room. That's kind of funny. So Mimighoul Room says you can special summon 1 Mimighoul monster from your hand or deck to your field in face down defense position, or to your opponent's field in face down defense position. Then you can change 1 face up monster on the field to defense position, so you can book it, which is really good. Then you can go ahead and banish this card from your graveyard, then target any number of Mimighoul monsters you control, return them to the hand. So this is how you get into your grind game, right? Because this can bounce them back to your hand, and this can bounce them back to your hand, so you can constantly be giving them to your opponent. But you can only use one of the effects per turn. You can't use both the same turn. 1 copy of Ninjutsu Dancing Leaves, very good card. This card, I think this card specifically is what makes the synergy. This Angio is what makes the synergy of this deck really good. You can activate it by targeting 1 ninja monster or 1 face down defense position monster on the field. Again, the monster that you gave to them, right? And then special summon 1 ninja monster from your deck. And then the other effects don't really come up that often, but you know, if this card leaves the field, the monster you summon also leaves the field, and then you can target 1 ninjutsu card, splash up on the splash up zone, and then bounce it to your hand, which I guess it could dodge something. But you can only use it you can only use each effect once per turn, so I guess not. For our extra deck, we play 1 copy of Meizen, very good card. Can attack directly. All ninja monsters can attack directly, and if there is a face down monster your opponent controls, then this monster cannot be targeted for effects. When your opponent plays the game, quick effect, you can special summon out a ninja monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position. 1 copy of Yuguramaru. You can go ahead and, if it's summoned, you can target, well, you can banish 1 ninja monster from the anywhere, basically hand, graveyard, or face up on the field, then banish 1 card on the field, which ties into this effect to quick fusion. 2 copies of Zeus, because I have played games where I wish I did have 2 Zeus to get the game down to a grind state, which this deck wants to be in, because it can just explode. 2 copies of Downward for the same reason. Then for the Zeus targets, we have 1 Fucho, 1 copy of Nightingale, 1 copy of Robin. I have made a format Robin before, and it's this deck is just hilarious, bro. And also keep in mind that this says when your opponent activates a card effect, which can be the fiend that you gave to them. I love this card so much. Look at him, this little goofy guy. 1 copy of Appaloosa. You can either make it on the crap back with the Mimighoul monsters that you've received, right? Or you can use it during their turn with the Mimighoul monsters that you've gotten back with the IP. 1 copy of Saizo to help find the ninjutsu arch if basically these have been stopped. You can just go ahead and help to search it out, which is really good. 1 copy of Crash Heap. Basically, you make this while it's pointing to the Battle Ninja, and then Battle Ninja can summon out something, and then Crash Heap can reborn something. Most likely it will be either a copy of Master or a copy of Archfiend, which can then flip up a card, right? Which is a very good interaction. Or you can just make Appaloosa on your turn if you want to, depending on the matchup you're playing. IP, you know what IP does. SP and Enema to help break boards. Maybe you've normal summoned your Link one of your level 1s, and you want to just help breaking the board. You can use Enema for that. Also, there is times where I've normal summoned this card, haven't used the effect, Link summon into Enema, bait out an interaction, then activate a Venusilph effect to reborn the dragon, and then activate the effect to search a spell and shop, right? Which is really good. And there is something that I've been wondering about, don't know if it's good though, which is this, where it says other monsters on the field cannot change their battle positions or attack, right? But it takes Relinquished and Thousand Eyes, whatever. I'm not really sure how you'd make this, but if there's a way to make this in a pure version to prevent your opponent from flipping up your monsters so you can get full value out of them, then yeah, that would be kind of nice, I guess. I've explained what the deck does and why I've made these choices and why I'm playing this variant, but let me show you practically. Maybe you're a visual learner, you can't really hear it and understand, you have to see it, Maybe you're like me. So let's go ahead and jump into a couple of those. This is our first test on Riju and Tobari, Talents, the Seedlings, the Maker, and Hanzo, right? So what I like to do here is most likely activate this to bait out any interaction and also play through some interactions. So let's say we go ahead and reveal. Doesn't really matter what we get. Whatever we get, we'll pivot around accordingly. So let's go ahead and flip a coin. Tails. So we'll go ahead and get this, and then they'll get the copy of Archifiend, set it, and then we can special summon out the dragon from our hand. We'll go ahead and do so. Dragon's effect to add, in this case I feel like I'll go for the field spell, and then field spell effects will add a copy of Master, right? If we already had Master, We could probably still go for the field spell and add another copy of Fiend, or we can, if we have the master, we can just go for the room instead, since we don't really need to get to the master. But Dungeon is a very strong card, don't get me wrong. Dungeon is a very powerful, strong card. So now from here, we're going to be locking ourselves into Earth monsters, which is, we don't care. So we're going to normal summon this first, get the effect. They can't imperm us because they control a monster. They have to like Veiler or Ash, so you know, limiting the amount of interactions they can do at a time is always good. So we'll go ahead and add a copy of the notebook. Right, from here we can go ahead, activate the effect of this, summon out the master, activate the effect to add this, and then master's effect to go ahead and add another copy of the Archfiend. Right, another place we can do here. What do you want to do first is the question. Also, I don't think you should summon this in the middle zone, anywhere but the middle zone, specifically that card. So here, so firstly, we will activate this effect, summon out this, activate the effect of the Fiend, boop, which will then trigger this. Boop, we'll take a card out of their hand to make us draw a card. We draw another copy of Maker, return it to our field. Then from here, we can go ahead and look at their hand to see if they have any more interactions. You know, take it out their hand, of course. Then we will go ahead and link summon with a copy of Cross Sheep. Alright. From here, we can activate this effect. Boom. In this case, we'll add back a copy of Archfiend and then special out the copy of the ninja right here. Right, so from there we can go ahead, give them this copy of Archfiend because we haven't used that effect yet. We got it to their field by using the Maker. Right, give them that copy of Archfiend, contact fuse these two off into a copy of the Maizen, which will trigger out the Cross Sheep. Also, something I'm wondering here, is it more worth it to set up this in graveyard to get follow-up on next turn? We'll activate the effect of the Cross Sheep. What do we want to bring back here is the question. What do you want to get back here? We'll just, I guess we'll summon Dragon. Alright, we'll summon Dragon. Alright, we'll summon Dragon. And then we can link off these up into Appaloosa. But we'll just go ahead here and instead make a copy of Ensemble Blue. Alright, move that over here out of the zone. Then we can activate this effect to go ahead and set these two. Set this first. And then set a copy of the trap. Right, and then pass turn. And then pass turn. So, here's the thing that I am noticing when I'm playing this deck. Most people will always attempt to, because they want to normal summon, they will attempt to break this lock by flip summoning this card first, right? Which is fine, I guess. For example, let's say they go ahead and flip that, right? Go ahead and flip it. Effect, we draw a card, they discard a card. We can trigger Maizen, we can go ahead and activate, we can also chain Maizen first, right? My apologies. Chain Maizen first because the opponent cards did activate. And then we can summon out a Mitsu from the deck. Alright, summon out the Mitsu right there. So then we'll draw a card, they'll discard a card, but because it's apply in sequence, they draw first, then send first, they attempt to give us the control of the card, but they can't, right? Then they'll go ahead and keep the monster on the field, which is pretty good. Because what we can go ahead now, let's say that they're playing the game, you know, we bound some stuff, who knows. We can go ahead, they activate a monster effect. We see effect of this to set itself, flip up a ninja, negate the monster effect. Cool. we can go ahead and activate our effect, which is this, to tribute the Mitsu, right? Tribute the Mitsu. And then we can chain this to go ahead and fusion summon out a copy of this guy. Right? Special out that. Special out a copy of Geo. Right? Which will then, some chain links will not happen. Let's say they have some cards we want to go ahead and take off the board. We'll have to go ahead and use this effect. Activate that. Activate that. Activate that. We can just banish, it doesn't really matter. We can just banish this guy out here. And then this effect will book down this card. So once again, they can't attack. They straight up just can't attack with monster special summon, right? Let me see here. No declare. Alright, so monster special summon this turn, they can't. They just straight up cannot attack with them, right? Which is pretty cool. And then if they were to, and then the crap back. The crap back is insane. So because we can go ahead and summon out this, right? Summon out dragon effect. We already have the target, I guess. So this is why I'm wondering if it's better to set up this guy, because we haven't really used this effect yet. Maybe it is. Then we can go ahead and activate dragon to, in this case, add anything with another field spell. Why not? And then, you know, they're most likely going to, you know, have to end their turn. That's most likely what's going to have to happen here, right? So we draw for turn, we draw a monster, which is nice. We can activate this effect to add back a copy of this to hand. And then from here, the world is just pretty much our oyster, because we can actually, let me see here, go up. No, we'll keep this. 1, 2, 3. Make an Appaloosa for 3. Make an Appaloosa for 3. Go ahead, normal summon out this guy. Effect. Flip up this. Take another card out their hand. So basically, you're playing hand control, you know. You're doing your ninja combos and you're also playing hand control. And then you flip up this guy, get it back. And then from here, you know, just make any link monster or any Xyz monster and just attempt to go for game, because this is at 3,000, this is at 2,300, and this is at 2,500. Right? And then we can also get some more damage by tributing Geo and bringing out the Hanzo from deck and attempt to go for game, right? So yeah. You know, can even go for SP Little Knight, right? Let's go for SP here, and then just attack for game. So this is something I really hope you guys find interesting. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and if you guys are wondering where I am most of the time, I'm over on my Twitch channel streaming Once Human. I love that game. With that being said, stay safe.